Hello! Hi guys, welcome to another stream. It's a little bit later than I wanted to because back at work and people calling in sick, so I'm having to cover, so obviously it makes me more tired, so I might not be as excitable as the previous ones, but I'm still excited about FPL, still excited about this game week 4, and more so because I've activated my wildcard. So I think I'm probably best in trying to explain that. I know a couple of weeks ago I made a video after game week 2 suggesting people not to rashly move into using a wildcard unless they made like a grave error or they really saw a plan or an idea. And I did post it on Twitter, so if you are on Twitter, maybe give that a follow, because I do put a lot of my thoughts and FPL opinions and things on there before I get to the stream and the videos of the weekend. But I haven't made huge changes in terms of my top assets, my famous assets, my premium ones. Salah's still there, Sterling's still there, but a lot of them would feel like a sideways move if I wasn't playing my wild card. So you wouldn't want to do transfers on them. So I'll go through the team that I've got now, and I'll put up the tweet and just quickly go through why I've made these particular changes. Just find this tweet that I've done before. It just felt like it was the right move that I needed to do. I do have this as a long-term idea in mind, that not just the fixtures, but I just feel so much more confident. I think maybe a little bit like a lot of you guys, you will play around. Oh, is there a delay? Oh, don't tell me that. Let me check that out. That I've done before. It just felt like it was the right message retracted. To do. I was gonna say I thought it was fine. So yeah, I'll go through the reasons why I've made that change. I got a little bit lost there, naked fish. You caught me. You caught me off guard. I just want to get through. Here we go. There's the tweets that I was talking about. So why did I basically make these changes? Why I felt it now was the right time to wildcard for me personally. So I always say the top thing I always say is use your wildcard for you when the time is right for you. When you feel like it is the time you want to play it. And it felt like it was for me. I haven't been doing particularly bad in terms of my points, my overall ranking. Barnes hat-trick would be absolutely delightful. Don't see it, but again, when I made this wildcard team, I had it with long-term thinking in mind. Now, I didn't want to activate it just because of prices, but I haven't really been priced of anything that I want to do yet. But with my long-term thinking in mind and the players that I've been keeping my eye on for the first few game weeks, I didn't want to miss out, because you can see I've got 0.1 remaining in the team. If I didn't wildcard this week, I could have missed out on a lot of these transfers that I just didn't want to do. Now, a lot of people will spend the time every week. I know I like to do it. I'll make like a fantasy wildcard every week. So I'll go on to this transfer section and I'll tinker around with it, and I'll think, oh, this could be a good team for this game week. This will be like my team of the week if I could make a new team every week. And I made this team, and it just felt like, even though they weren't huge transfers, I've not made any massive shake-ups like taking out Sterling or Salah or swapping out De Bruyne for Son or getting rid of Pookie or anything like that. Like when I say a lot of them are sideways, a big example probably would be Robertson to Trent Alexander-Arnold. So it just felt like that was the right move, but you wouldn't want to make that on a free. You get one precious free transfer a week, and there'd be bigger fires to put out than TAA coming in for Robertson at this stage of the season. So it felt like, and I made this wildcard team, and I never set a deadline. So say, right, I'm not using a wildcard until game week 8, period. That could be really detrimental to your overall score, because if you're having a nightmare, and I'm not talking about injuries, another problem that I had is my players just kept losing value. A lot of the players I've started the season with have gone down in price, and it's taking me out of certain price brackets. And I just didn't want to lose any of that money. So when I made this particular squad, over from now till, after Christmas when that second wildcard comes back, I just felt like every single transfer, I've made 7 changes to the side, and with the next sort of 10 to 15 game weeks in mind, it felt like every single transfer improved my team. And I looked at my new play around wildcard team, and I didn't think this is a great team for Game Week 4. I felt like it was just a really good team. So Jota out, Barnes in. Barnes has got the form, Barnes has got the fixtures from Game Week 5, and again, I could always go back down. Jota's price has gone down, Barnes' price is going up. I think it's 6.6, close to going up 6.7 for the last couple of days. That will probably shoot past 6.7 after Liverpool with his fixtures. Felt like the right move. I had already used my free transfer for the week and done Martial in, Siggy out, but then Martial got injured. I think it's only for 1 game week, which is fine. I could have survived with that. So let's say I had Martial on my side. He came out, Lanzini came in. He's fit. He's ready to go now. He's got some good form, 2 assists in 2 games. And West Ham have the best up-and-coming fixtures. I wouldn't touch West Ham's defence with a barge pole. Which comes on to my next point, Diop out and Emerson in. Because Diop just sat on my bench, and I would never, ever feel comfortable playing a West Ham defender. So the reason why Diop goes out is as well, I think Emerson is, everyone keeps saying Robertson is so unlucky, he's posting the stats, he's getting the crosses in. Robertson is a class player, he's excellent, but Emerson, I feel like Emerson is more unlucky. He's got 3 points in 3 games, so he's got less than Robertson, but I believe the Norwich game, he conceded 2 goals. He hadn't really posted these things, but he almost got bonus points. Like he is the posting like the best stats in terms of attack and penalty area touches, basically in the league. And now with Chelsea's fixtures going into a nice sort of sea of green on the FDR ticker, I just feel like he's a great punter, 2.6%. And the sort of template right now is a 5.5. So you've got a 6.57 million defender if you're 3 at the back, and then you've got like a 6 million defender and a 5.5, and then a couple of 4.5s. That seems to be like the balanced template. And so in this 5.5 section, you've got your Harry Maguires, your Wan-Bissakas, your Spurs defense, and I just look at it and I just think this is the best 5.5 million defender, and at 2.6% ownership, he could bang. And yet Wolves away, Liverpool at home, but I'm thinking, I've got this image of the heat map, Emerson on the left, TA on the right when it's Liverpool against Chelsea, and they're going to be the opposite. Like it's him on the left side and Trent on the right. Trent is so attacking and far up on that right side. Emerson's so far attacking on the left side that they're basically going to look like they're playing for the other team. I think it's going to be a really open game. So that's why I swapped to Emerson. Robertson, TAA is on set pieces as well. So I've got both set piece takers for Liverpool. Taking corners, taking free kicks, and he's just got the best attacking ones. I was too scared that he's going to get rotated out. He's going to get dropped for the big games. But at the end of the day, his points per match will be the best at the end of the season. And Robertson and Trent are both excellent choices. But if I personally now want one in my side, it's going to be TAA. Rico out for Lundstram as my backup defender. I think that's pretty obvious. Rico now could be making some appearances with the supposedly long-term injury for Charlie Daniels at Bournemouth. But again, I wouldn't want to touch. I'd probably go for a Sheffield United defender over a Bournemouth player right now. And with Lundstram sort of playing centre mid, I think he's still going to lose his place over the long term and get sort of reduced in his minutes, but it's still probably going to be long term than Rico. Dunk out for Soyuncu, the Leicester lad, and this is mainly because Leicester just look like a more solid defensive unit. He looks like the nailed on centre back. They've got some pretty decent results. They look pretty difficult to score against. You can see they've only conceded 2 goals in 3 games. He got an assist as well, so he's had a clean sheet in 1 game, he's had an assist in the other, and at 4.5 million he'll be my rotation with Ceballos, but it's probably going to be a 3-5-2. That's what I usually like to play. And then Pope in for Ryan. Ryan was great for me, he did a really good job, but long-term fixtures and save points, Pope looks like the way to go. So they're the reasons for these changes so far. So I'm going to catch up now and go through some of the things that you guys have suggested. So let's have a look. Barnes hat-trick. Do you think Tammy Abraham is a good shout? Right now, for 1 game week, yes. For 3 game weeks, no. I just think like Norwich have been great and Pukki has been great. However, defensively, Norwich might end up being the worst in the league. And with that being said, I don't want to take anything away from Tammy Abraham, but I don't personally think he's the best option at that price. Would I play him against Sheffield United? Yes. But Wolves and Liverpool, I still don't think he's Champions League quality. And 7.1, yeah, well, we can have a look at him, but I personally, with Giroud always breathing down his neck, it's 0-0, come the 60th minute mark, Abraham could come off easy. Every single game week, he could come off. So you can even see he did come off in that 74. Granted, he scored 2 goals, but he did still come off in that game. So I personally wouldn't always like the idea of him doing that. And again, try to look at it over a season, an entire season, or up until sort of 10 to 15 game weeks. Do I think he's going to, on average, get a goal a game? Maybe even a goal every 2 games? No. So personally, I think there are better options out there than Tammy Abraham. Would you play Kelly or Greenwood? Ollie has just said something about Greenwood's playing minutes, actually, that he's not played a lot. A lot of people, especially with Sanchez now going to Inter Milan, a lot of people think Greenwood's going to play. And I would always back playing an attacker over a defender. And I'm not 100% sure. I think Kelly's still going to keep his place for now. But again, long-term thinking, I don't think Kelly will. But we can see here, Palace at home to Villa. It is tough. Palace has arguably a better fixture. But I think if Greenwood plays, if you see any news that says that it looks as though Greenwood is going to be playing, then I'd probably go Greenwood over Kelly. Always go attacker over a defender. Unless you think Crystal Palace are going to keep a clean sheet, and I back the defender. But again, I feel that's a more difficult task. When I drafted my team, you didn't have long-term Week 10 hopes, or was your team in complete shambles that you had to use Wildcard? That's a good question. When I drafted my team, so I just like to play around. I like to every week, I like to go onto this transfer screen and I like to just pop things around. If I've got free transfer or whatever, I just like to pop around and see, what can I buy for my money this week? So it wasn't that my team was in a complete shambles. I think my overall rank is 344,000. So rank isn't that important right now. I mean, if I had an extra 10 points, I'd be like top 100k. If I had 10 fewer points, I'd be like 800k. So I'm not going to be that bothered about rank, but it was just a long-term... Oh, sorry, I just spat all over my pop filter. It was long-term thinking, and I just look at the team I've got now, and this is something I'll always tell people. If you're going to Wildcard, your team might actually get worse because you need to add depth. You need to put like 1 or 2 people on your bench that will play. A lot of people now who have wildcarded this week or last week still kind of have a bench where it's Greenwood, Kelly, Lundstrom. And long-term 15 to 20 game week, that sort of longevity of that is going to be difficult to keep up, because you look at Martial now. Martial is transferred out so many times for this game week, and he's only out for 1 game week. So if you have no one on your bench, so say I get some news that Ceballos or De Bruyne gets injured or whatever, I'm fine with Sionku coming in or Lundstrom coming in. I've got 2 players that are playing, and you need to do that kind of squad depth. So when I made this team, it just felt like when I looked at everyone's fixture tickers and I looked at the stats that they've posted in the first 3 game weeks, I like this team. My biggest debate is, which I'll talk to in a minute, which Naked Fish put on, is Lanzini or Mount. So I'll explain why I've gone Lanzini over Mount in a minute. But first, I'll just use Christian's question. Jota at Aston Villa, a good option. Now, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I'm sat here with Pookie in my team. But again, I just don't fully trust promoted teams right now. I'm going. A lot of people going Pookie Cantwell, and I just feel that if you're starting, you look at your team, and if you're starting your game weeks with 2 Norwich players and like 2 Burnley players, that would worry me. And that's not being like a football snob or an FPL snob. It just, I don't think that. I've seen a lot of wildcard teams now going really weak at the back. I did post my own idea on Reddit, on the Reddit sub, saying, hey, what happens if we just had 5 4.5 million defenders, rotated them, and have a wicked midfield and forward? And I'm seeing a lot of people like Mings, starting Mings, and if you're thinking Villa's going to get a lot of clean sheets and people like Tyrone Mings are going to get you big returns, I think it's a mistake. So Joe at Aston Villa, or Hotter at Aston Villa, do I think is a good option? No. 5.9 million, I think there's better options at Aston Villa. Not Douglas Luiz. A lot of people are starting to go in for Douglas Luiz. He was about to go to 4.6 million. He's by far and large a central defensive midfielder. He's the most deep midfielder and forward that Aston Villa play. On the average touches map, he's basically sat in his own half where everyone else is in the opponent's half. But McGinn's got to be the standout. Even the manager said, I believe McGinn is our biggest goal threat. So I wouldn't go for Jota. But I mean, it's one of those things where it's a huge differential. 0.3%. If he bangs, you're in like this tiny little party, right? So as a differential, fine, but I think at that price range, I just personally wouldn't go for it. So Matt or Lanzini, what I was going to talk about, should you keep both to replace Trossard and take a hit? I won't take a hit over that kind, to be honest. I did post that Trossard, despite losing last week, no thanks to Andoni getting a very early red card, Trossard created the most big chances of any player in game week 3. So even though they got beat 2-0 at home to Southampton, and they're playing most of it with 10 men, and you look at all the other games like City beating Bournemouth, Trossard still posted the most chances in the entire game week for a team that lost 2-0, which is crazy. I wouldn't expect anything necessarily against Manchester City, but I wouldn't take a hit, I don't think, to take him out. So my big question was Mount or Lanzini. Now, I could go from Lanzini to Mount. That is a possibility. Now, it looks like he's back in training. It looks like he's going to play. He takes a lot of shots. I think he is a great option. For me, again, it was long term. So Sheffield United, he might do something this week. But am I comfortable being double Chelsea right now? I don't think so. But Wolves away, Liverpool at home isn't great. Now, game week 7 could be a fantastic time. But I would rather just take a chance on Lanzini. His ownership is a lot less. It's 2.9%. He's got 2 assists in 2 games. The fan accounts of the people that have been going to the games, I've been reading that, and I read one from a Watford fan who said that despite Haller, who was pretty non-existent in the first half, despite, or Hallier, the forward for West Ham, despite him grabbing 2 goals, it was this little magician who was by far and large the best player on the park. And I have always admired him. He had that horrible injury, I think it was a year ago, and he was out for a long time. It's a little bit like Yarmolenko, but Yarmolenko's not quite there yet. And he feels like, with the fixtures West Ham's got, so I mentioned earlier, Norwich are probably, they could stay up, but the amount of goals that they're conceding and how shaky they are at the back, he could rip them apart. I think he could get an assist or 2. And I do believe he's on set pieces as well. I'll have to double check that. But it felt like, because he's 6.5, amount is 6.2, if I do want to swap, hopefully in the next 3 game weeks he's not going to go up 0.3. If he does, I'll make an earlier switch. That's fine. Again, is he nailed on? He's just taken a knock. He might not be back yet. He is back in training. They've pictured him back in training. But is he going to start? Is Frank going to risk him, or is he going to start him on the bench and let Barkley play in that cam role? I don't want to take that risk. I know that Lanzini is going to play for West Ham. Mount should play for Chelsea, but I don't want to risk it in this game week. One has Sheffield United, one has Norwich. I'm going to take a punt on the lesser-owned Lanzini. So that's why I've gone Lanzini over Mount. So will Mason Mount start? That's what I've just been talking about. He should start. I don't want to like make people think, oh my god, I need to sell Mason Mount right now. He should start, but he did come off injured. Oh well, he did have that knock. It looked like it was an impact injury. He has been pictured back in training, but like I said, he might still give Barkley that chance to play as Cam. So I'm not 100% sold on Mount right now. He's posting good stats, but personally, don't want to go and do that. So Ricardo saying McGinn's got better underlying stats. Yep, that's what I mentioned earlier. Thoughts on Haller? I think is a really good option. I think he's still 7.4 million. So I had this, or Hallier. I had this choice. Do I go Barnes, Hallier, and drop Lanzini down? But I play 3-5-2, so I didn't want my. So this is sort of in order. Ceballos is my 5th midfielder, and Lanzini is my 4th. I didn't want to drop my 4th midfielder to like a sub 6 million midfielder, even someone like McGinn. Again, I don't trust yet promoted players. So Hallier, I think, is a really, really good option. But again, he's just had one cracking game week against a Watford side who look so poor that, again, similar to what I was saying about Tammy Abraham scoring 2 goals against Norwich, I think scoring 2 goals against Watford right now is sort of like a stat buster. It will skew the stats. That's why what I say is, if a team plays against Manchester City, take those stats out of the equation. So Lanzini in that first game did nothing in terms of stats against Manchester City. They battered them 5-0. But you look at his previous 2 games where it's a more sort of evenly matched fixture, and he's got 2 assists in 2 games, and he's got lots of touches and passes. So Hallier, for me, I'd rather just stick with Barnes and Pukki long term for now and have Lanzini play behind and get those assists and hopefully a couple of goals. Who to bench, Greenwood, Barnes or Cantwell? I don't think you have to bench one of them. Now, I would probably bench Cantwell. Now, I know that would be an unpopular opinion. Sorry, Paul, I'll come back to your question in a minute. I skipped it by accident. So, Greenwood might not play 90 minutes, so that puts me off. So, I'd probably actually bench Greenwood. I don't think I could bench Barnes. I know he's against Liverpool, but he's at home. He's in cracking form right now. And it seems a little bit silly to have a 6.6 million man on your bench, and then Greenwood might only come on for 2 minutes and really screw up your game week. Barnes will play. I don't know what he'll do against Liverpool. I think someone found his quote saying how much of a machine Virgil van Dijk is, and he's the toughest player he's played against. So I don't know what he's going to do against Liverpool, but I would definitely go Barnes must play, Cantwell probably just over Greenwood. So Mount or James for Lanzini. So Paul, you're taking Lanzini out. I'm bringing him in, so I don't know if that's a good thing for me or a bad thing. James, a lot of people James should play. Manchester United, 6 million. He's picked up 2 yellow cards in the last 2 games for diving. Granted, he was unlucky in the last one, but James at 6 million. It depends. If you've already got Martial, I wouldn't want to double up on Manchester attack, if I'm honest. And again, for 6 million, you've got players who are sort of getting similar or better returns, your likes of McGinn and that. So I would say Lanzini's still the best option, then Mount, and then James. James is a great punt, 4.3% ownership. You can't really go wrong, but I would say Lanzini and Mount will come ahead of James. Mount or McGinn? Mount plays for attacking, loads of shots, good form, plays for Chelsea, one plays against for Aston Villa, so I'd go Mount over McGinn. So Christian, best Aston Villa midfielder, discussed this as well. McGinn is the best one for me so far. Is international break next week a good week to use a wildcard, or should you hold on to later? So Dynamite Dons, I will always say, hold it for as long as you can until it becomes detrimental to your team. So if you saying, okay, this is game week 4, international break, after it, game week 8, international break, I will not use it before game week 8. And then from game week 4 to game week 8, you have a nightmare. Like, everyone's out of form, prices have dropped by 0.2, 0.3 million, but you were stubborn and said, right, I'm going to hold it. Then that's a mistake. You've wasted 4 game weeks. So if you get to the international break after a good game week now, and you still look at your squad and think, yeah, the next 4 fixtures I'm pretty good, or the next 2 fixtures, I wouldn't use it during the international break to say, oh, I'll do it early international break, or I'll do it later, in game week 8, the international break there. Just use it if you look at your squad and feel time is now to change. That's exactly what I did. The time was right for me to change now. Would I have liked to have waited till next week, the international break? Yeah, because I'll have 2 weeks to look at my team, tinker around. But sometimes I feel like having 2 weeks to make a decision is more stressful than having one. So I made this sort of quite a few days ago. I'm back at work. I've been busy. It's Friday night. I've got to look at it again now with you guys and probably privately afterwards. And tomorrow morning, my time, I'll be able to look at it again. Any last minute changes. But I'm pretty set with what I've got. If you've got 2 weeks and no football, and you've got this lingering over in the back of your head for 2 weeks, you start to overthink, and you start to... So I'm looking at this and think, well, Salah. Well, do I really want Salah? Well, Mane's $1 million cheaper. Yeah, let me put Mane in. And then before you know it, you've completely changed your time. It's a little bit like in pre-season before the football starts. And we all changed our teams like 1,000 times, right? So I wouldn't say just wait to the international break for longer time to think about it. Just use it whenever you think it's the right time. Obviously, hold on. If you're looking at your squad and you think this is a great squad or it's a good squad, I can feel confident going into a game week, then save it. Don't just use it next week because it's the international break. Jota was very cheeky with the ball, but McGinn was further on the pitch. Yeah, I think McGinn over Jota. Cheaper, better stats right now. Haller or Abraham? That is a very good, close question there, Kevin. Haller or Abraham? Personally, I'd go Haller or Hallier over Abraham. I mentioned earlier, I'm not 100% sold on Abraham. He still could get rotated out. West Ham's got the fixtures. Hallier's just banged in 2 goals, albeit against a Watford side. But they've got Norwich next, and Norwich might win the game, but the match has got like 3-3 or 4-3 written all over it. Watching now be like a 0-0 absolute bust. So for now, I'd go Hallier over Abraham. So Lanzini's never really been a good FPL asset. Why him over Hallier? So first of all, money. Like I said, I didn't want to go up to Hallier at 7.4 because then I'm going to have to really put Lanzini down and that'll really unbalance my side. But I don't think Lanzini's a particularly bad FPL asset. He's just had not a lot of game time. And he looks sharp. I think West Ham pre-season, I like the look of them. So I just feel like Lanzini could be the right one. So that's what I'm feeling. I've got 2 up front, and I'm really happy with Barnes and Pukki long term. I wouldn't be happy with Hallier plus a 5.7 million midfielder long term. Because when you use your wildcard, you try and look at long term ideas. So long term, I'm more happy with Barnes Lanzini over Hallier plus a 5.5 million midfielder. Let me catch up to this. Arsenal have great fixtures coming up soon. Yes, they do, Kai. That is true. We'll have a look at the Arsenal fixture ticker right now. So, Watford, I always think about this, right? Don't always look at the colours. Look at actually who they're against and then decide what you think that colour should be. So, there's no way right now that Watford away is 3 difficult. For me, that's a 2 green all day long. Then they've got Villa, United away will be tough, but Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Palace, Wolves, Leicester I think is difficult, but Southampton. So they do till week 16. You can see 5 to 16, so 11 game weeks could be great. A really good time to bring in like the likes of Aubameyang if you've got that big premium forward up front. That's why I'm hoping. I think this guy, hopefully, if he plays, will be bargain of the season because he can play at 10 or he can play at 8, and it wasn't just because I had such a good game against Burnley. Obviously, Liverpool away from home is difficult no matter who you are, but you're getting a top 6 creative player that if Unai Emery keeps faith in the lad and plays him, he looks incredible. The stats are there. The eye test is passed with flying colours. And at 5.6 million, I think he's an absolute steal. It's 5.7 now, but I still think he's an absolute steal. So when you say those Arsenal fixtures come in and you want a cheap way to get into that Arsenal side, I think definitely he's the man to go for. Pulisic for Martial. I'm not sold on Pulisic right now. If I'm perfectly honest, eye test wise, I don't think he's that great. He's only got 1 assist so far. Low ownership is great, but George, if you don't, Martial should be out for 1 week. You don't have any cover. I personally would not get rid of Anthony Martial from my squad unless I had to, and it always feels a bit detrimental to say, okay, I'll transfer Martial out now, and then I'll transfer him back in next week. Because if you commit to that method right now before the game week and something else happens to your team, you're screwed. So this is why I was saying that with like this kind of wildcard team, that if I get one injury, so say it wasn't Lanzini, say it was Martial, and I think, oh no, Martial's injured, well that's fine. Soyuncu will come in for that game. And I'm confident in that, that's perfectly fine. I wouldn't transfer him out for one game week. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says that it looks like he's going to be back for, I think it's the Leicester game. I think that's who they've got after Southampton. Yeah. He's confident Martial will be back for that because the international break's got a few weeks. If you want to do that, if you want to say, right, out for Pulisic and then bring him back in. But like I said, if you get any other injuries over this big international break and you've already committed to that transfer, then I think that'll lead to a -4 unless you've saved up 2 free transfers already. What about Felipe Anderson? I think Felipe Anderson is a fantastic shout. If you do want that West Ham coverage and you're not trusting Lanzini, he's dropped to 6.9. He's got low ownership. He can tend to come off though. Now, someone did post, I think it was on Twitter or on Reddit, say it was on Reddit that Felipe Anderson is the man to go to. Because especially down that left side against the likes of Norwich, they look threatening. But actually, a couple of fans posted, West Ham fans, and one did a really long comment with some great information about how actually on the attack, Felipe Anderson will sometimes drift inwards and Lanzini will go down that left side. So that actually just solidified my choice in Lanzini over Felipe Anderson. He's been quiet. He's not posted anything yet. He had a great start to last season. But again, He's more expensive by quite a lot over, 0.4 million over Lanzini, but it's 0.4 million or 0.3 million in my case that I just cannot find. I like the balance of this team. But is Anderson a good option? Yeah, he's explosive. Anderson could get you 1 point this game week or he could get you 15. That's the kind of player he is. You're going to go for Lanzini despite you're in a Chelsea fan calling for Mount. Hopefully it won't punish you. I hope that it doesn't punish you because I also am going for Lanzini over Mount. I think both of them are great options. I don't want to say that one of them isn't a good option. I personally just have a 50-50 of Mount versus Lanzini. I'm going for the lower ownership. I'm going for what I think is the better fixture for the next at least sort of 3 game weeks. It's a wildcard team. I'm not thinking of just one game week in mind. I'm thinking of the next few. Aguero's captain. I did say he's a great choice. However, I don't know. Aguero has always been in my team. This is the first year I've never had Aguero in my side. I even had him last year. I just took him out after he got that first injury and I couldn't get him back in. It looks like he's going to play 90 minutes, but is he going to get more points than Sterling? I don't know, because remember, if a striker scores and a midfielder scores, a midfielder gets more points. But I think Sterling could score 1 and Aguero could score 2. I think it's a really, really good differential captain pick. And I always say, don't get angry at the result, get angry at the decision. And if you make the decision to go Aguero over Sterling and it doesn't pay off, don't be angry about that, because that's not a stupid decision. I don't think that's a bad decision. I think by a mile, Sterling's going to be the most captain player this week. So if you go Sterling, you're with the pack. If he bangs, we all bang. If he busts, we all bust. Aguero might be like the 4th biggest captain pick of the week. And then if he manages to keep up with Sterling at least, then you're looking at a really, really good differential captain pick. If I had Sterling and Aguero, my heart would say captain Aguero, but I think my head would overrule me because I always prefer captaining midfielders over strikers unless it's like sort of a really obvious choice. And I don't think Brighton at home is a really obvious choice. I think Sterling's in great form. Just want to know what Aguero's ownership is right now. So 19.7% own Aguero, but 46%. So 47%, almost half of the game own Raheem Sterling. And if over, or just under half of the game own Raheem Sterling, so of that 47%, at least 40% of them are going to be captaining this week. So the issue with captaining Aguero is this is your time to rise up the rankings. Every man and his dog is going to go for Sterling, who has Sterling. If you've got Aguero and you captain, if he bangs, you'll shoot up the rankings. If he busts or Sterling bangs better than Aguero, then, you know, it might actually hurt your rankings. So it's a 50-50. You didn't notice Ceballos? Yeah, he's just hidden on the end. I actually got him earlier. I got him after that first price rise. So I've managed to get a little bit of team value in there. I don't do that for my wildcard. I don't actively ignore team value, but I don't bring players in and out just to increase my team value. It's like playing the stock market. I'm not some sort of, you know, data analyst that can, you know, read the market with insider information or anything. Mane or Aguero? Oh, Ivan, that is a tough call. If you have Salah, then I'd say Aguero. If you don't have Salah, Mane is your only Liverpool attacker. Long term, I would say Mane. That would be my option. I mean, if you've got Salah, you don't need Salah and Mane. I mean, if you can have that, then that's amazing. I want to see your team because that would be a ridiculous team that has Salah, Mane, Aguero. Drop Edison and Cantwell for Adrian and Mount. Arturo, that is a good question. Now, a lot of people are going for Adrian, but he is going to lose his place in the next couple of weeks. So I wouldn't make that transfer because if you commit to a goalkeeper transfer right now, you're committing to another goalkeeper transfer in the future, and you might desperately need that transfer. I like set and forget goalkeepers because I don't like making goalkeeper transfers. Transfers are so precious that you don't want to be taking hits. You want to avoid at all costs. So if you pencil in Adrian right now, he has to come out. He will lose his place as soon as Alisson is back. So say 3 game weeks time, you pencil in Adrian out, Alisson in, or another 4.5 million keeper or whatever in. That in those 3 game weeks, anything could happen. And you don't want to be looking thinking, well, Alisson's back, Adrian's dropped, but I've got this injury. Now I've got to take a -4. So I personally wouldn't do that. I know Matt is a great option. If you want to drop goalkeeper, fine, but drop to Ryan or to Pope. I wouldn't go to Adrian because he's got to come out in the future. Montoya, Lundstrom plus 5.55 like McGinn, Iwobi. I really like the look of Iwobi. If Iwobi played, he'd probably be my side over Ceballos. Lanzini, Mount, or Montoya, Lundstrom, Cantwell plus 7. Are you playing those players though, Christian? Because that's the problem. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting every week with Montoya and Lundstrom. If you're not about rotating them, then I think that's fine. But if you're not about starting them, I think that's an issue. But I prefer option 1 to option 2. I think a lot of people are looking at Cantwell and thinking he's gonna bang every week, and he's not. James for Martial, you could do that, but again, if I had Martial right now, I'd hold. I'd just bring on a sub for a week. A lot of us have got Greenwood sat on our bench. Just make that transfer, that substitution for the week. Haller for Barnes. Me, nope, I'm sticking on the Barnes train. I'm going to stick with him. They've got great. Burnley have got fantastic fixtures after this game week. You have a look at this. Brighton away, attacking football, like to concede. Norwich, attacking football, like to concede. Aston Villa, newly promoted side, they've conceded a few. Everton at home won't be easy. Leicester away either. Chelsea at home could score against that Chelsea defence, especially if Kante is not back by then. Sheffield United, West Ham, Watford, Palace. You're looking for the next 10 game weeks, Burnley have a decent run. And whatever happens in 10 game weeks, if I'll try and hold him for that time, then I can make that transfer later. But I'll be sticking on the Barnes train. Who is best for game week 4, McGinn or Greenwood? Ooh. McGinn is going to play. Greenwood might not even play. So I don't want to sit here and say Greenwood because I've not seen enough of him to be like, yeah, let's go Greenwood. McGinn's already got the points. McGinn's already got the stats. And they're away at Crystal Palace, who did a great job at Old Trafford beating Manchester United. But could they keep out Aston Villa? I don't know. So I'd go McGinn over Greenwood. 15 goals and assists, 9-29 plus 5 goals in 10 in the Europa League. He's physical too. He's a player for the long term. So Finton, if you want to go Hallier, that's fine. Actually, on my fan team FPL, Hallier is in my fan team FPL side. But and I'm not trying to bring down the Bundesliga or bring down the Europa League, but this is the Premier League. You can't always transfer. So you're saying he's got 15 and assisted 9 in 29 plus 5 goals in the Europa League. Who did he play in the Europa League? What about Emerson? I've got Emerson. He's right here. Boom. Already spoken about this lad. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic option. He's just been really, really unlucky right now. You can see 31 on the bonus point system for a team a defender that conceded 2 goals. It's a pretty good option. Where are we up to? Should you keep Jota? Do you mean the Wolves Jota? Or Hotter? I got rid of him. I think difficult fixtures, Europa League's taking his toll. He's not done anything at all, even on the eye test when I've watched the games, to keep me interested in him, especially when you got Barnes and Pukki popping off left, right and centre. Laporte for captain. Captain in last year when he got 20 points. You got a good feel about Brian at home too. George, that is a huge gamble. He's got 8.5. I'm so surprised he's only got 8.4% ownership. But you're looking for a clean sheet. So if he gets a clean sheet, 6 points goes to 12. Raheem Sterling gets a clean sheet and he scores or gets an assist. I don't know. I wouldn't captain a defender. Personally. That might be boring, but fine. I would not captain a defender. Mane or Salah? Salah. Pukki's the best option, yes. Switch Jota for Haller. I mean, if you could switch Jota for Haller, then yeah, go for it. McGinn or Lanzini? Yeah, mentioned this before. Lanzini for me. Got the fixtures. And if I need to downgrade, I can. I'd rather start here and drop than be here and try and climb back up. Because if you're above it and say McGinn or anyone's Mount's prices begin to rise, I can say, all right, now I'm going to go down to Mount. But if I'm at Mount and Lanzini starts to creep up, it's going to be so much more difficult for me to jump up. So I've got a 0.3 advantage on Mount. I'm not going to wake up in the morning and then suddenly, boom, he's gone up 0.3. He'll go up slowly. But if I'm down here and Lanzini goes just to 0.1, it's going to be more difficult for me to get to. Should you captain KDB, Mane, Pukki? All right, so I wouldn't captain Pukki. I know he hauled. I know he's doing really well. I just wouldn't captain Pukki. Mane has got Burnley away. KDB at home. Mane will get you possibly more goals, but KDB should destroy Brighton, to be honest. That's difficult. If you don't have a premium forward or you don't have Sterling, in that option, I don't know. Mane, I can see Mane doing really well. He looked angry that he didn't score. That he wasn't as good as Salah. There seems to be that rivalry, not in a negative way. It's a positive way that when Salah scored that sort of solo goal against Arsenal, it took Mane a little bit of time for him to be happy and go and celebrate. He wanted the ball. He wanted a goal. And I think he's always got that rivalry that I don't think it makes him selfish. I don't think it makes them dislike each other. He just wants to be the best, right? So I think that's really difficult. KDB is an assist machine, but Mane more likely to get you goals. KDB's at home to Brighton. Burnley away is not an easy fixture. I think it's a really tough call. I'd probably go Mane. Your wildcard is swap Martial for James. What do you think? I have mentioned Martial quite a bit already, but basically, if he's injured for 1 week, I'd keep him. I wouldn't, because if you want him back again in the future, so Martial's back next week, I want him back next week. You could have 5 injuries or 3 injuries or whatever, or a red card after this game week, but you've already penciled in Martial comes back next week. You're going to get a -4 hit. Thoughts on West Ham double up for the next few fixtures? As much as I think West Ham's going to be great, I don't like the idea of a West Ham double up. They remind me of Everton when we were doubling up on Everton last season when they had that great run and they just bust us, especially in defence, which is ironic because they've got a fantastic defence now. But I don't trust West Ham enough to go double on them. I mean, it was a first win last week and it was against a very poor Watford side. McGinn's got nice fixtures, yes, but he's plays for Aston Villa, a newly promoted side. I don't think newly promoted side have nice fixtures. Aguero captain or Salah. Now that, Andreas, is a really difficult call. Salah will punish. He punished people last week. Burnley way is difficult. Aguero. And this is because Jesus is injured. Supposedly, Pep's apparently come out and said, well, we'll see how they are. But if Aguero plays 90 minutes, if Jesus is definitely out, I'd say go Aguero for that one. Is that Gael or Gale? Hello? Martial for Mount is the best. I agree. If you want to keep that. If you're going to jump back to Martial, then no. How about Maddison long term? Leicester's got some pretty difficult fixtures. I think Maddison looks fantastic. But at 7 million, I think they're a better option. So Bournemouth could do well against Bournemouth. United away, Spurs at home isn't great. Newcastle, okay, but Newcastle did just beat Spurs at Spurs. And then Liverpool away, I wouldn't be bringing in Maddison now. After that, from game week 9, you can see game week 9 looks pretty sweet for quite a while. So I'll be looking in the future, but not right now. So yeah, you asked the same thing. Yeah, Aguero over Salah. Why no Aguero captain in the poll? We'll just talk about it. Don't need to make polls. Special Aguero hat-trick. I think I would love Aguero in my side. In fact, I tried to put Aguero in my side, but I would have to lose Salah or Sterling or De Bruyne. And Aguero would be a short-term option. And being a wild card, I can't have short-term options. I've got to look for the long-term. Rashford for this game week. For his price, I don't think Rashford's worth it. And again, that might get criticism, but he's never got a double-digit goals in a season. And I know he's only young, but he's been around for a couple of seasons now. But Rashford, you can see his goal history. He got 10 goals last season. Fine. 10, 7, 5, 5. I want someone who's got years under the belt. For that price, 8.7 is he now? 8.7 million priced. I want someone that, is... I mean, for 8.9, you can get Jamie Vardy, who has been, consistently great for years. I don't want to risk on a Man United forward. You think you would have picked Zinchenko instead of Emerson. You don't think Chelsea will keep any clean sheets for a while. You don't think Chelsea can keep a clean sheet against Sheffield United? I don't know, but I know Kante's not quite back there yet. But if Rudiger and Kante come into this side, I think this Chelsea side will improve dramatically. And again, Zinchenko, Mendy's back in training. They've got pictures of him training. How long has Zinchenko got left in this side? We don't know. And with a wild card, I don't know in my side. I want someone that should basically be there for most of the season. You have Wan-Bissaka, shoot yourself a -4 for Zinchenko. No. Why take a -4 hit for someone that you know you're going to transfer out in 1 week, Omar? Also, Wan-Bissaka goes to Southampton isn't a terrible fixture. But if you do a -4 for Zinchenko, if Zinchenko keeps a clean sheet and doesn't do anything else, he'll get 6 points. -4 is 2 points. People get 2 points for playing over 60 minutes. So Zinchenko would have to get an assist, or Wan-Bissaka would have to get beat like 3 or 4-0 by Southampton, which I don't see happening. So no, I would not do that. You think Mount is better Chelsea coverage? I mean, I could do Mount. What else? I'll mention it again, but basically, Lanzini is here in price. Mount is here in price. I think the next 3 fixtures, the next 2 fixtures after this game week are not easy for Chelsea. I like Lanzini right now for the next 2 game weeks, and I'll just swap. And I'll have Mount and Emerson in the future. Will Mount play? Alejandro, don't know. This is again another reason why I'm going Lanzini over Mount. Son is best option. For 9.5 million, no. I'd have to swap him for Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne versus Son. Kevin De Bruyne wins. Mount should play. Yep, he should, but I'm not risking it myself. Should Luka Dean be benched for or played in for Jota? You mean the Wolves or the Villa Jota? I mean, if it's the Wolves one, I think you've got to play Luca Dean. But can you not play both of these players? Like, who have you got on your bench that you're playing ahead of Luca Dean and Jota? How many points are like last game week? 58? 58 in the last game week. So, wasn't fantastic, but it was, I think, 14. Yeah, 14 points higher than the average. No Mount or Abraham. No, I've talked about these guys already. Going Lanzini over Mount, and I don't think... Abraham got 2 goals against Norwich, but he's always got Giroud breathing down his neck. You think downgrade Emerson and get Mount in? Nope. Because Emerson's my number 3 defender by quite a distance, because then I dropped a Sionku and then Lundstrom, or, those two. And I like Ceballos, or Ceballos, apparently his name is pronounced. Yeah, I like this balance. I don't want to... Because if I drop Emerson and I upgrade Ceballos, and then I'm playing TAA, Dean, and a 4.5 million, I think Emerson's stats are fantastic. I think he's been the most unlucky defender so far. And Mount, again, he might not start. He might get rotated out every now and again. I just prefer this. This is more about... Sometimes it's not about getting... You can't have everyone. Yeah, you can't... I can't say, get Mount in there. And McGinn, and Mane, and Aguero. Like, we can't have everyone. There are some players I'm going to miss out on. So when I look and I think, who do I want to see in my side? Emerson and Ceballos, or a 4.5 million defender and Mount. I want to see Ceballos and Emerson. I don't want to see, anyone else. Haller and Mount, or Lanzini and Abraham? Ooh, good question. That is difficult. Sorry, Patrick, I'll go up to your one in a minute. I missed that one. Haller and Mount, Lanzini, Abraham. Really difficult choice. Haller and Mount, I think, have it right now, because I'm just not sold on Abraham. Yeah, Haller and Mount is what I'd go for. You don't think King or Wilson will get points during the great schedule? I do. I started the season with Wilson and Fraser, but I can't squeeze in an 8 million forward right now. Or is he 7.9? Did he keep his price? Wilson? 7.9. I can't fit him in right now. I need 1.3 million, and I don't have it. Lanzini would have to drop, or Dean or Emerson would have to drop, and I'm not willing to do that. Like I said, it's with the wild card. It's about balance. Rashford or Haller? Daniel, I think that's a little bit... Oh, wait, sorry. First, thoughts on Salah and Mane with no Sterling. If you think Liverpool are going to do it, but I think Man City are going to win the league, and I think Sterling's going to be the biggest point scorer this season, so I personally won't go Salah and Mane over Sterling. Like, you can say I've got Salah, Sterling, and De Bruyne. I think they're the 3 premiums that I personally want. Rashford or Haller? So again, I was just about to say, it's a little bit unfair, this question, because one's 7.4 and one's 8.7. So price-wise, fixture-wise, I'd go Haller. But with Martial out, Rashford might be playing in that sort of number 9 role. But yeah, I'd probably go Haller. Lanzini and Abraham would be your choice, really, over Mount and Haller. Not for me. Pope or Heaton? Pope. Heaton plays for Aston Villa. Burnley have got a stronger defence. Hey Tyler, thanks for catching the stream. Points will be spread around. Yep, that's what I'm hoping. Mine will do better. What is my overall ranking right now? 344k. 344,000. Zoom. There you go. I can't move sideways. Here you are. 344,000. But again, don't worry about rank, guys. If you're in like the top 2 million or whatever, then there's like 10 points between 10 plus 10 points. I'm top 100k. Minus 10 points. I'm 800k. So don't worry about overall rank just yet. What's my take on Jimenez and Hull versus Everton? If you watch my video from this week, I said in my avoid section, I said avoid Watford assets for a while, and the game to avoid for this week is Everton against Wolves, because it's got 1-1 written all over it. It's got people won't keep clean sheets, it won't be a goal fest. If you have a look at the results I've got so far this season, so Everton 0-0, 1-0, lost 2-0. And then you look at Wolves being tired again after another Europa League tie, where they've played a really strong team. You've got 0-0, 1-1, 1-1. It just feels like an FPL coupon buster where it's going to be 1-1 sort of thing. So I personally wouldn't go for Everton or attacking wise. I wouldn't go for Everton or Wolves. Sergio or Sterling as captain. Tyler, I mentioned this earlier. Safe bet would be Sterling, but if you really want to try and climb the rankings and you think Aguero is going to outscore Sterling, then go for Aguero. What about Wilson captain or Wilson as in Callum Wilson? Again, we briefly spoke about Callum Wilson. Decent fixtures. I think he's a great player, but I can't fit in another 1.3 million. I would have kept him, but I needed that money to get Kevin De Bruyne and Pookie, so right now that felt like the right option. Do I ever worry someone is too much of an obvious pick? Example, Sterling. Captains always seem to blank when it's an obvious pick. So George, I know what you mean. You're worried about, but the idea that sometimes the obvious pick is the right pick. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's obvious for a reason. And I always keep saying the same mantra. Don't get angry at the result. Like, Kane blanking and barely touching the ball, the fewest touches on the pitch against Newcastle. That's not a bad decision. If I had Harry Kane in my side at home to that Newcastle defence who got battered by Norwich, I would have possibly captained Harry Kane. So sometimes obvious picks. So I said earlier, Sterling's going to be by a long way off. He's going to be the most captain player this game week. But it's safety in numbers to an extent. That's why I said that if you've got Aguero, you think he'll outscore him, you'll massively climb the ranks. If Aguero gets 10 points and Sterling gets 2, and you captain Aguero, you're going to shoot up the rankings because so many people are going to captain Sterling. But if you it's safety in numbers. You know, if everyone fails on Sterling, you're all in it together, and your other players can earn the points. And I don't think they obviously blank. Like, so far this season, people are always choosing Salah and Sterling. It's just trying to get the right one. Can Morpay be a great asset as he should be in a starting spot? I mean, if he starts, yeah, he looks pretty decent so far. You can see he's here. But, I mean, 1 goal in 3 games, and he's not really played 90 minutes yet. Lucardi's out and Done's out, so he should be starting with Murray. I think he's a decent option. He's really low owned. He's 6 million if you need to save that money. But Brighton's fixtures, if I just bring this up, this is a reason why I've got Ryan out now in my wildcard. It doesn't look too good now. They had a really nice start to the season, but you can see City away, Burnley at home. Burnley are stubborn defensively. Newcastle away maybe, but then Chelsea, Spurs, decent bit of a run, and then a tough one. So yeah. Hey, Rooster Beers, have you missed much? A little bit, about an hour. Been going. Ceballos. But it's actually, I know it's not Ceballos though, it's it's an S sound. But actually, apparently in his native area in Spain, it's pronounced TH. So it should be like Ceballos. And they don't pronounce the S as well, so it's like Ceballos. But if I say it's Ceballos or Ceballos, people know who I'm talking about. Captain Sterling or Kane or Sane. But if you've got Sane in your side, I think someone ought to tell you that he's not playing yet. So Sterling would be an option. Douglas Luiz or Cantwell as replacement for Guendouzi. I mean, if you're going to play them, then it's worth it. But if it's bench fodder, then I don't think it is, because Guendouzi will just tick over on the bench. If you're starting these players, I'd probably go Cantwell. I mentioned this earlier. Luiz scored a banger. He's got good stats so far. He's a little bit like Ndombele though. His current stats and FPL points are misleading. Douglas Luiz is a CDM. He easily has his average positioning is well inside Villa's own half. Whereas Cantwell is a much more attacking player. So whilst Luiz looks like a better player when you're watching him, Cantwell is a lot more attacking. Oh, City's points will spread around, unlike Norwich. True, but I still think to an extent you're going to have the same people scoring the City points. So I don't think the spread's as much as you think. City's points are going to be on Sterling, De Bruyne, and Aguero. Or whoever, Pep. You know, if Gabriel Jesus comes back and says, right, he's my main striker now, then he would obviously be the key point. Mings, Mount, Hallier, or Dean, McGinn, Abraham. Which one do I reckon? I don't like having Mings as my starting defender. I wouldn't be comfortable having a promoted defender in my team right now. So Dean, he's got the stats. He's had real good form so far. Isn't he one of the best? Is he second or third top scorer? Second best scorer. So joint first right now, Luca Dean. Still got really good fixtures, Everton, for the next few weeks. You can see all the way up for another 10 game weeks. They're looking all right, except obviously this City game. So you got Luca Dean, McGinn looking good. Abraham, 2 goals last week. Hallier, yeah, I'd go Dean, McGinn, Abraham personally. What about Mount? Shall we keep him? Definitely keep him. Definitely keep Mount. He should play, but he got a knock. Maybe he gets a rest. I don't know, but definitely long term, Mount looks like a good option for his price. Do I think Harry Kane will get points against Arsenal? The North London derby is notoriously difficult to predict. Didn't Aubameyang get 2 goals and an assist last year? But Harry Kane normally does quite well in North London derby. He is an Arsenal fan, right? Which is a little bit weird. But do I think Harry Kane will get points against Arsenal? I don't know, Daniel. I really don't. Prediction-wise, on paper, he should get something. However, is that Newcastle result going to get in his head? Fewest touches, no service. I'm avoiding Spurs right now. I actually mentioned this last week before the Newcastle game. People saying, why are you not thinking about Spurs assets? They're just... I actually said on last week's stream, I said they're boring. But I didn't mean it in terms of like watching them is boring. It was just because they're just like meh. Like they've not got anyone that makes you think, ooh, there's Heung-min Son who's only just coming back into it. But apart from that, like they always let in a goal. I remember, was it last year and the year before? They had like one of the best goals conceded stats. They were like the 3rd best defense, but they always let in 1 goal, and it was so annoying. Eriksen's not playing, so they're lacking that creativity. And Dembele missed out. I don't know if he's back yet. Vertonghen, something weird's happening with Vertonghen. He's not in the team right now. Something's going on at Spurs, and I don't know what it is. Is Pochettino's not happy? He made those comments about, I'm not the manager, I'm a coach. Daniel Levy, is he director of football or whatever, or the chairman at Spurs, notoriously tight with his money. I think something's just not right at the minute with Spurs behind the scenes, so I personally would be avoiding him. Thoughts on Salah against Burnley? I think Salah. There is no game week or no fixture I go into where I don't believe Salah, Sterling, Mane could get something, even against each other. I never think that he can't do it. So Burnley is a difficult fixture. Turf Moor is not an easy place to go to. But do I think he'll get something against Burnley? He always could. He's the best player in FPL for the last 2 seasons. Hallier in place for Keane for -4. If you want Hallier in your side, so I mentioned this on stream before, calculate the time. If this is a 1-week punt, you need to think, will Hallier beat Keane by at least 4 points? If this is something that, right, it's a transfer I want to make right now, and Hallier's going to be in my team for 5 game weeks, then I would just spread the hits out in my head. So Hallier in for Keane right now, but for 5 game weeks, or for 4 game weeks, I would just calculate it as -1 for each of the 4 game weeks. Do you know what I mean? If it's a 1-week punt, it's -4. If it's a 2-week punt, you'd say -2, -2. So if it's a long-term one, then possibly that could be a really good option. If you're doing it for 1 week, then no. Oh, you meant Son. Oh, yeah, because he said Sane, and I was like, what? Again, I've mentioned Spurs, I'd avoid that, so I'd stick with, was it Sterling or Aguero that you said? Yeah, you said Sterling. I'd go Sterling. How many more matches will get full game time? Now, apparently, Jesus could even be back now, but it looks as though it's too soon. And then they've got 2 weeks off, so I honestly think this is the last game where we've got this beautiful 90-minute Aguero. So I think that's why I've not got him in my side. Rusabusa, I've heard also that Mendy's is not going well. Not heard any news about Mendy's not going well at the minute. But again, it always just would be on the back of my mind that Zinchenko's going out. Like, if he's in your team now, great, keep him. But if you're wildcarded now, like I am, I'm not going to bring him in. Ceballos or Mount. Ceballos, as we mentioned earlier. Or Cebalo or Mount. Again, I think it's a little bit unfair. So you can see I could have both. But in that situation, of course I'm going to say Mount. But they're two different prices. Like... 6.2, 5.6 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is different. Have I considered a plan for a premium striker? Oh, thanks for the compliment as well, Josh. Now, I think it's pretty common knowledge for the last year or two that premium strikers are on the out. Now, they got 200 points, so I can't remember who said it on my video. Someone commented on the video the other day that... what was it? They mentioned something about premium strikers, but it's common knowledge that in recent years they're just not worth the money. Oh, that was it. They said that Aguero wasn't worth it, but because of he's always injured, he doesn't play. But Aguero finished, I think, was it 1 point behind Aubameyang, but he played like hundreds of minutes less. And Aguero scores minimum 20 goals a season. For the last, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. Let me just bring up Aguero's history. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 consecutive seasons. And even in this one, when he came midway through, he got 1,500 minutes, he got 17 goals. You will get your price for Aubameyang and Aguero. But the reason why I don't consider a premium striker is because it unbalances my side. So if I had Aguero in now, and I get 200 points from Aguero... but I'm going to have to lose De Bruyne or Sterling or Salah. And they're 250 players. De Bruyne is an easy 200 plus player if he can stay fit. If De Bruyne gets injured, then I could work in Aguero. And then I would do it. But I know it sounds silly, but simple math-wise, in today's game, the midfielders that we have are strikers. They're forwards. Sterling is up front, basically. Salah is up front. Mane is up front. And they are just as likely to score as Aubameyang, Kane and Aguero. And if a midfielder scores, they get more points than if a forward scores. So sometimes I think that for a premium forward to be worth it, they need to score 2 goals in a game. Or 1 goal, 1 assist. So I think squeezing higher points out of premium strikers is a lot more difficult than squeezing points out of midfielders. So that's why I do consider, I think premium strikers, I would definitely consider Aguero or Aubameyang. But to take out a basically striker midfielder like Salah, Sterling, Mane, no. And De Bruyne, the price difference is too much. That's a little bit unfair to say De Bruyne or Aguero. If I had the choice, I love De Bruyne. But I mean, if I had the choice, I'd probably go Aguero. But De Bruyne would have to go, and I'd have to lower a defender and another midfielder to make it worth it. So I just feel premium strikers, price for points that you get in return just aren't worth it. Will Greenwood start United game? No idea. So again, I don't like going with unknowns. As boring as it is, it looks like he's set to start, especially with Sanchez going to Milan, but I don't like... Saturday, like sitting at Twitter thinking, oh my God, is he going to play? Is he going to start? Oh, thank God Greenwood's playing. Oh no, he's on the bench. And I've started him, and I'm already on 0 points for the game week. Barnes or Tammy? Barnes. Form, future fixtures. What formation am I playing? 3-5-2. I've always liked 3-5-2. I think it's the midfielders is where the points are for me. With like 2 good defenders though. So Trent, Dean are great defenders. Emerson, my cheeky little one. But I like 3-5-2. I've said this before. If you're wildcarding, I would not go 4-5-1. Even if you've got, say, Aguero up front as your one striker. If you've got 2 4.5 millions on the bench and Aguero comes off or he gets injured before the game, you'll play the game with 10 men. Because a forward must come on in that situation, right? You have to legally have one striker playing. So I don't like seeing 4-5-1s on wildcard teams. It's too dangerous. Unless your backup striker is like a 6 million more pay or something like that, but then you're wasting money on your bench, aren't you? Highly good for long term. Yep, we've mentioned West Ham fixtures. If we have just another, oh my god, almost made my captain. Oh, let me just check. Yep, Sterling is my captain. I thought I made Lanzini my captain then. Norwich, Villa, United could easily concede. Bournemouth, Palace, Everton will be difficult. Sheffield United, Newcastle, Burnley. So you're looking at what, 8 game weeks there, being pretty good for West Ham. Now, Moise Kean isn't starting yet. He could. I can see Keane starting. But if Javier is in for the long term, so I've just said for 8 game weeks, if you're looking to keep him for 8 game weeks, then the -4 hit might be worth it. But you're going to kick yourself if he does play. But again, Everton Wolves, that's my fixture to avoid for this week. So personally, I would maybe take the -4 hit. McGinn or Cantwell? McGinn is at Palace. I mean, I think Norwich could score because West Ham's defence is just as bad. So McGinn and Cantwell's difficult, but McGinn for me just looks a little bit better. Heaton and Pope or Edison and a 4 million keeper. So I'd go Edison and a 4 million keeper because Edison will play set and forget. Put him in your. Does that price work out the same? The different prices though. Edison and 4 million would be 10 million, right? Heaton Pope would be 9. So that's an extra million. So if I had a free choice, I'd say Edison and 4 million. But if I needed that 1 million, and remember, I don't like using my precious free transfers on goalkeeper swaps. But if something I really need that 1 million, I need to make 2 transfers to change Edison and my goalkeeper for 4.5. So if you've got that million spare, Edison. If you haven't, Heaton Pope. Or Ryan Pope. Compare the fixtures. I showed this on the video last time. Let's see if you can see this. I don't think you can. If I cover the light. So this is my really, really disgustingly written out comparison paper that I made for defenders. 4.5 million defenders of so for example, game week 4, I've got easy, medium and hard. So easy, Diop, Ward, medium, Soyuncu, hard, Dunk, Peters, Lundstrom. So what I did is I put them in the spaces to say okay, so with those 4.5 million goalkeepers, just have a look who's got it easy, who's got it hard, and make sure you make those right sort of moves. So I don't know what Villa and Burnley's fixtures like when you put them head to head. Because, for example, okay, one's away at Liverpool, one's away at Man City. You don't want to play either of them, right? So make sure you pick the right combination. Zinchenko over Dean? No way. Digne, I think best defender of the season is going to be between Trent Alexander-Arnold and Luka Dean. Unless there's a terrible injury. Mina or Dean, if you can afford it, Luka Dean. How about Tammy Abraham? Yeah, we discussed this earlier. He scored 2 goals against Norwich, which is all great. That's fantastic. But a lot of teams can score against Norwich. They play really, really attacking. It's like Brighton, right? They just play attacking football, and I love to see that. I love to see them, basically say we'll score more goals than you. But Tammy Abraham always has Giroud breathing down his neck, and I just don't think he's a Champions League striker. Based on what you said, would I take out Quain for a -4? You also have Mane, Kevin De Bruyne, and Sterling. No. I think Kane can do well in the North London derby. I would like Aguero, but again, like I was saying earlier, Josh, calculate. Aguero is a short-term thing, really, because as Jesus is back, he'll be off in the 60th minute all the time, right? If you're going to say, right, Aguero will be my striker for 10 game weeks, then take the -4, because then you'll basically say, okay, this week -1, next week -1, the week after -1, the week after -1, and you split that minus out. If you're just going to do that for 1 game week, then Aguero must, to be profitable, must score at least 1 more goal than Harry Kane this week. And that at least minimum must score a goal to be on par with Kane. So I wouldn't take that hit personally. Differential captain pick, Kevin De Bruyne, Kane, Salah, Pookie. Okay, so again, I would never captain Pookie. I know he did really well. He got a hat-trick, but I just wouldn't. There's too many big players out there. I'd probably captain... We had this earlier. I don't think I'd captain Kane. So it's between Kevin De Bruyne and Salah. Salah's a forward. He scored 2 goals last week, but he does have Burnley. Kevin De Bruyne might get like 2 assists and a goal. So he's more assists. So I'd probably still captain Salah. Robertson or Dean, now that is a difficult choice. So again, I got off Robertson before he lost money. I mentioned earlier, I've had Perez, Wilson, Fraser, Robertson, Perez, Wilson, Fraser, all lost money. And I managed to get some of them out before I lost money on them. 6.9 versus 6. If you don't have any Liverpool defenders, I'd go Robertson. But I think Luka Dean is a fantastic player. Any ideas on Walker-Peters replacements? That is a nice... Is he 5? He's 5, isn't he? Kyle Walker-Peters. Yeah, he is. Now, straight off the top of my head, I'd say Bolly. The Wolves defender. I don't know why. It just always seems solid. But the fixtures aren't there right now. So if you need one like right now... Oh, it's tough because there isn't really. I would personally either upgrade to a 5.5 or I downgrade and change my formation. A straight replacement, 5 for 5. I wouldn't even say Peters. I would have said maybe Lowton or any Burnley defenders after this game week. But you don't want them in before. You don't want them from game week 4. So a like-for-like replacement. You got Mings going to Palace. Dunks at Man City, so that's definitely a no. Socrates, he's got Tottenham. So as a like for like, it is incredibly difficult. So I might downgrade or upgrade. I think there isn't a straight replacement, to be honest, for 5 million. De Bruyne or Mane? Ooh. Now, that's difficult. If you have Sterling or do you have Salah? If you don't have any of them, then I don't know where you spent your money there. But De Bruyne or Mane? If you've got Sterling, go Mane. If you've got Salah, go De Bruyne. Just make sure you've got that Liverpool and Manchester City cover. Pookie all day long. Tom, you could easily just come back and be basically like next week saying, I told you, Pookie was the obvious captain choice. He got 2 goals and an assist against West Ham. Definitely possible, but you can't ignore Man City at home to Brighton. Use your free hit game week 3 to bring in Kane, Moore and Son. Oh, Tyler. But again, I personally will save my free hit because now I've used my wild card. I need to save my free hit as my just in case. You know, I'm having an absolute nightmare. People are injured for this game week. I need to save it. Using a free hit for those 3 Spurs players against that supposedly awful Newcastle side isn't crazy. It just really didn't pay off. My friend triple captain Harry Kane. So let's just have a moment of silence for him. Should you get Hallier? Yes, Joe. We spoke a lot about Hallier tonight. Who are you comparing him to, though? Do I think premium defenders still worth buying? 100%, yeah. It's been 3 matches so far, and they're still posting good stats. They're not getting clean sheets, but we're still acting like defenders aren't doing anything, and they are. They are still getting some assists and some goals and some points. And then when those clean sheets start to come, you're going to be absolutely in the money. How about Hallier and Mount? Oh, sorry, let me just check my phone. That's fine. Where was that? Hallier and Mount. Hallier and Mount in for King and Martial. Yes, I would make that move, Alex. For a hit, maybe not. If it was long term, yeah. Hallier and Mount, I think, is a really good combination. I prefer it a lot better than King. Is Mason Mount going to play? Yeah, Alpha, we talked about this earlier. It's unknown. He's back in training. He's supposed to be fit, but maybe Lampard wants to look after him. You're looking at Aguero for the next 4 weeks, and you feel Kane Spurs really struggling, so that's your thinking. Fixtures for City are amazing over the next 3. Then yeah, if you're looking for the next 4 game weeks, then Aguero's worth it. But if it's like a 1 week punt, then no. Callum Wilson for Pookie.
Now, this is the man of the moment, right? This is, he's gone up 0.5 million. He's the biggest price riser. Is he most points. He's top of the FPL charts right now. But he's top of the FPL charts right now. If we start again from 0, is Pookie going to keep it up? His stats are there. West Ham are going to concede a lot of chances. But he's got City next week. But if he bangs against West Ham, he's going to be 7.2 million by the end of the week. And then you're looking... I mean, if you've got Callum Wilson, you can always downgrade. So if you want to, join the Pookie party, then it's still a pretty good time to come into the party. I wouldn't take a hit for it, but I do feel like Callum Wilson will come back to haunt people. But you can't ignore not just Pookie's goals, but his underlying stats are just all there right now. And the longer you wait, the more money you're going to have to pay. So I paid 6.6 for him, or 6.7. The longer you wait, the more you pay. And then if he drops and drops and drops, you're going to lose that money. Sterling already has 2 yellow cards. Will he play game week 4? Yes, without a doubt. Mendy for next week, as in game week 5 in 2 weeks? Possibly, but I think someone mentioned that was it Roost Booster? Someone mentioned that his rehab or his reinitiation into training is not going that well. I think it's going to be too soon. I don't think Pep's going to be like, right, 90 minutes Mendy off your pop. He'll play for like the under-23s a few times. Pope, yep. Arnold, yep. Zinchenko, yep. Is this a wildcard team now? Dean, yep. Van Dijk, yep. Sterling, Mount, De Bruyne, Pookie, Haller. Who am I missing there? No. Aubameyang. No Salah, no Mane. No Likey. Personally, that's just me though. If you feel confident not having Salah or Mane, then go for it. Do you have any? Oh, you got one Liverpool player there. But that's the beauty of FPL, right? Everyone's different. Everyone makes different choices. I personally don't want to have a team without one of them. You had Barkley and Keane in your team. Want to get rid of both. Where would I? Barkley last chance. He's going to keep losing money. Maybe he's going to play instead of Mount, but it's a risk. Keane is a risk. I mean, it's tough. There's too many options. Would I get rid of Barkley and Keane right now? Yes. Who would I change it to? I don't know. Because you could go bigger in midfield and smaller in attack, or you could go bigger in attack and smaller in midfield. You can change formations around. Do you change Barkley to a 4.5 million Dendonka and improve Keane? Do you drop Keane down to a Greenwood 4.5 and improve Barkley up? There's too many options to sort of give you a suggestion there. Zinchenko and Salah or Laporte Mane? Ooh. Right now, Zinchenko Salah. If you're wildcard in Laporte Mane. For longevity, Laporte's going to play the whole season, right? Mane and Salah are going to be incredible. I don't think... A lot of people in their wildcards went from Salah to Mane, and then Salah banged, and everyone's like, oh, Mane's crap, I'm going to transfer him out, I should never have left Salah. They're going to be around the same. It's not going to be like a 100-point difference. Well, this week, Mane will score 3, Salah will blank, and then next week, Salah will get 2, and Mane will get 2, and then, Wan-Bissaka or TAA. Come on, that's not fair. TAA all day long, but the different prices. Greenwood to start. If you think he's going to start, have a bash. I'm just not sold on United anyway. Total score 187? Yeah, 187 is my total score. Zinchenko and Salah, yeah. Sterling or Salah? Ooh, Sterling. I think Sterling's going to do it this year. I think Man City are going to do it this year. But again, I don't like or in that, Joe. I don't like Sterling or Salah. For me, it's Sterling and Salah. Or Sterling and Mane. I don't like one or the other. Should I transfer TAA and Sianko for VVD and Kelly respectively? Ooh. For a -4? No. But I do prefer TAA over VVD and Kelly. Definitely. Shaw out for Mings. So that's Luke Shaw for Tyrone Mings. And again, I keep saying I don't like promoted defenders. And isn't Shaw like 5.5? Where's Shaw? Shaw's 5.5. Why are you dropping $1 million? I know you're going to save $1 million, but there's some good 5.5 million defenders out there. What are my thoughts on taking hits? I just have personally just admire taking hits for long term. Play safe. Now, Josh, I mentioned before, like my history of taking hits is disgusting. I'd take -8s and 12, like I didn't even care because I wanted the players, right? So at this stage in the game, -4 points is big in your overall ranking right now. Play it safe. Every time I take a hit, so I have taken a -4 this season, but it paid off. It was the right move to make. If it's long term as well, spread it. Don't just look at it as -4 or -8. If that's a move that you've made for 5 game weeks, split those minus points up and say, okay, -2 for 4 game weeks, right? Don't just think, oh, it's -8 this game week. Yeah, it will hurt that game week, but if you just, separate the minuses. But personally, try and avoid it at all costs. It's 4 points. You need to calculate that. If it's a 1 week punt for a -4, I don't know if it's going to be worth it because the player you bring in must blow away. So my -4 was Sigurdsson, King, and Fraser. No, sorry, Wilson, Fraser, Perez. It was 3 poor ones, and I got in Kevin De Bruyne, Pukki, and Ceballos. And Pukki got 11 points. De Bruyne got, was it 6? What did you get last week? 5. So I got 16 points plus 2. So I got 18 points and it cost me 4. So I got a profit of 14 points. You just need to calculate if it's the right move. Haller or Firmino? Again, that's not fair. I mean, personally, right now, because I've only got 2 Liverpool players, I'd have Firmino. However, there's like a 2 million price difference. Firmino's not the best in terms of FPL, so I'll probably go Haller right now. Morpay, we talked about him earlier, Matt. 6 million, should start. He's got Man City. If you can wait a week, Morpay might be a good option. But as of right now, I wouldn't be, bringing him in to play Man City at the Etihad. Pulisic or Mount. Mina for Emerson, what do you think? Well, I've just brought in Emerson. What's wrong? What's wrong with Emerson? Don't take him away. Look, Everton look pretty solid at the back, but in that situation, you've got Mina, who's a centre back, so he's a danger from corners, set pieces. You've got Emerson, who's a wing back, who his touch map and heat map and stats and everything point that he's going to spend most of his time as a left winger. So for me, when it's pretty close, like Mina and Emerson, I take it then centre back and full back. That's why Virgil van Dijk and Laporte 6.5, not 7 million, because that being a full back, being a wing back, that gets you more points than being a centre back. Thoughts on Firmino? Yeah, I just mentioned I love him as a player. He's fantastic as a player. As an FPL asset, I think there are better prices out there. But if you only had one Liverpool player and you wanted a second, I think he's a good option. Do it in the future with a bank transfer, that's fine. Just make sure you can still afford it. But TAA is in such good form. But for one more game week should be fine. You have De La Fea, what to do? Poor. I say avoid Watford at all costs. People say he's doing well. I mean, he hit the bar, but Watford right now, maybe keep him this week. They're away at Newcastle. He's got such low ownership. I just personally don't like Watford right now. They look absolutely terrible. But they're away at Newcastle, so maybe save it one more week. It's 6.3 million now. He's got Arsenal, City and Wolves in the next 3. What do you do for 6.3? Next week, maybe swap him for more pay. Best 6 million midfielder. Wow. People are going to say McGinn, right? Aren't they? Cantwell, no. McGinn, possibly. Harry Wilson is massively overachieving right now with the minutes that he's playing. If he starts playing for Bournemouth, you can see 2 games, 2 goals, decent fixtures. So if I had to choose it, like 6 million or less, right? So we're not going to say Mount at 6.2 or Lanzini at 6.5. 6 million, if Harry Wilson plays, he's looking really, really sharp right now. If I had to choose now, choosing a nailed-on player, then I'm probably going to say McGinn. A lot of people say Buendia at Norwich. I'm just not feeling it. He's great to watch, but in FPL-wise, it was Bilver, right? We call him the hockey assist. He gives an assist to the person who gets the assist. He's the pass before the assist. That's what he seems to be. Rashford or Barnes? Mentioned it earlier. Barnes, a lot cheaper, good form. Worth taking a punt on Ayew? No. I had him in one of my fan team FPL teams as backup. No. Ceballos or Douglas Luiz? Ceballos. But they're two different prices, so it's a little bit unfair there. Pukki or Sterling captain? Sterling. Mora and Jota for Haller and Mount for a -4. You know what? I probably would, because I'd split that -4, -2 Haller, -2 Mount, and I think they're going to have a good game week. Pukki. That's just, I don't know what that's saying. I think I'm about to try and get Mane, and thanks for the help. No problems, Joe. Always like to talk about FPL. What about Mendy? Not yet. Wait till he plays. Is Adrian a good option for goalkeeper? No, I mentioned this earlier. Not because he's not good. I mean, if you've got him, then that's fantastic. But if you bring him in now, you will take him out. You are penciling in the future, I must use one of my precious free transfers to get Adrian out of my side. And you don't want to waste your wonderful, precious free transfer on a goalkeeper. What team do I support? Bolton Wanderers. That's why FPL is so great for me, because I don't have this, I don't have this sort of, I'm a Liverpool fan, I can't have any United players, or I'm a United fan, I can't have any City players, I'm an Arsenal fan, I can't have any Spurs players. I don't have that problem. I just love football, so it's fine. You'll be tossing up that Kane Aguero move until deadline. Good luck. You'll have to move with AWB to 4.5 defender. So again, just be careful when you downgrade defenders. Don't make sure you've at least got like 2 good defenders in there. Heung-min Son for KDB. No, KDB's looking absolutely on fire. How about Emerson for AWB? Yes, join us. Get on this. What can we call it? The Emerson boat. Get on the Emerson boat. You got the Pukki plane. You got the Barnes train. The Emerson boat, or the Emerson electronic bike, whatever you want to call it. I think he is the most unlucky FA player right now. Genuinely is. Emerson's stats are absolutely phenomenal. If I showed you like a touch map and a heat map of Dean, Luca Dean, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, and Emerson, and I said, okay, show me which one's Emerson. Emerson's the one who's up there the most for touches and passes. I want to find... I actually said on Twitter to a guy, shh, be quiet, don't tell anyone, because he'd done this really great tweet about Emerson and about all of his stats. So let me just see if I can find that. Yes, here it is. It was FPL Cheetah on Twitter. So I'll just mention some of the stats that he was talking about. So Emerson, he's made the 3rd most tackles this season, most touches for a defender, or is that in general? I don't know. Most duels won, most tackles won, 2nd most fouls won, 2nd most shots on target, 2nd most take-ons completed. Any other in who scored? He's statistically the best left back in Europe. He's got most touches in the Norwich game, most tackles, most crosses, 2nd most chances created, 20 key passes, 4th of all defenders in the league, 1.7 successful crosses a game. His stats are ridiculous. He's got the 3rd highest expected goals and assists, just behind TA and Ake in the first few weeks. You know, he is massively up there. So get on the Emerson boat. Sorry, that was my wife. Right, where are we up to? Kane or Aguero? Aguero, hands down. Pope, yep. Heaton, yep. Laporte, yep. Dean, yep. Robertson, yep. Kelly, Lundstrom, it's a little bit shallow. Kelly and Lundstrom might lose their places. Mane, Sterling, KDB, McGinn, Mount, nice. Barnes, Pukki, Wickham, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's a good team. Let me reply to this. I'll be in big trouble. Cantwell for Dentoga for -4? No. Cantwell's not going to make up that -4 difference. Is it worth saving a little bit of money? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people think you've got 100 million and you have to spend 100 million. You don't. Like, what happens if, so Pukki, is in great form, but say I started with Kane, I dropped to Pookie, do I have to put that money? No, of course. Usually when you spend the whole 100 million, then it's important. There'll be a better team, but money doesn't necessarily mean it's the best team. Again, I said the person who was, before I overtook him in my friends league, he was top and he was ahead of me, and he didn't have Sterling, he didn't have Salah, he didn't have Mane, he didn't have like any sort of big player like that, and he had money in the bank, but he was top because it's all about points. De Bruyne or Salah? Salah. What goalkeeper do you have instead of Heaton and Pope? That 4.5 million, no one really. You could go up to 5, maybe get Rui Patricio, but I would say Pope is your big one. Bias is the word I was looking for. Allegiance, bias, yeah. But yeah, I don't have that bias. Forgot to mention you got Virgil van Dijk and Coleman. Well, both are good players. Where am I to? Ryan, Digne, yep, Mina. Oh, double Everton defence. TAA, Laporte, Mings, yep. KDB, Salah, Lanzini, Rashford, Barnes. Was that 5 at the back? It's crazy. I love it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Mings. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of that. I'd rather have like Sionku or something in there. You got KDB. You don't have Sterling as well. Rashford and Barnes. I mean, it's a good squad. I'm thinking I'll get you points, but I just don't like not having Sterling. Laporte or Otamendi. Laporte. Emerson definitely when Rudiger comes back and Kante gets fit, clean sheets will start to pop off. Any update on the situation? Pretty bad. Doesn't even cover it. We finally got bought yesterday. Yay. I feel really sad for Bury. They did get kicked out of the league. There could be a last gasp bid to get money in there and keep the place, but yeah, we had about 12 days left before we were not going to be a football club anymore. It's awful state. I don't want to use like bad language and stuff, but our previous owner, Ken Anderson, absolutely took... We should have seen it coming. His background is football agent, notorious vermin of the game, and he just completely beat us. Our previous owner, Eddie Davis, who helps like get into the Premier League, and big Bolton fan from the area, he put a lot of his own money in. He forgave over like 100 million of debt, all of his own money, and he passed away around the time when the club changed to the new owner. And the new owner at that time, Ken Anderson, so our old owner, took a loan from the previous owner's family of 7.5 million, and in the last week he was like, right, I'm not signing, I want more this, I want more that, and then the old owners, the Eddie Davis family, had to let go of a 7.5 million debt just to keep the club to survive in his memory. So vermin, absolute rat of a man. EFL should never have let that man take over a club. Disgusting what they've done to some football clubs. Lucas Moura, Lanzini for the long run. Lanzini all the way. Power to the brother. He's in the team. We'll hopefully transfer Emerson next week. Lanzini needs to replace Martial. I think that's a good choice. Good luck for Game Week 4. Thank you very much. Show me the money. I need that luck. Any FPL luck. Should Sigurd be given one last chance? You're talking to a Sigurdsson friend right now. I tried so hard to give him more time, but I just couldn't. He was always going to be a Game Week 3 plan to upgrade to Kevin De Bruyne. If you're happy, if you've got Sterling and Salah and you've got those other big hitters right now, then could you give him one more chance? Yeah, but he's already lost some money and he got subbed after like 60 minutes and I don't know. I like to think I can give a player a couple of weeks. I gave Sigurdsson 3. To give him a 4th, I think it's Sigurdsson. Yeah, I gave him 3, 2 or 3. But there's got to be a limit where it's like, right, Siggy, enough's enough, kiddo. Right, off you pop, you're out. If you want to give him this final game week, possibly he's a class player. I just personally, no. Laporte or Otamendi. Laporte. Marcus was top though. Oh, you're on about my friend who's top of the mini league. Yeah, he was top, and then he used his triple captain on Harry Kane. I mean, I feel sad for him, but it's also quite funny and good from my point of view. How the amount in for Barnes on? No. And I'm only saying no because I'm bringing in Barnes and Lanzini right now. So if I sit here on a wild card and say, yeah, Hollier and Mount in, Barnes, Lanzini. Or are you saying that about my team? Either way, no. Barnes, Lanzini, every day. Mount or Barnes, who's playing? I don't know, both of them? Are you confused about the players there? I mean, they both play. Is it worth it for Richarlison? No, I'm just avoiding Everton right now because they can't score. Like, defensively, great, aces. Well done, Everton. You're looking nice at the back. Cannot score a goal for Toffee. Pun. Opinion about Siggy. Love him as a player. Can't have him in my FPL side until he starts banging something in. You have Martial, who should transfer out for. For one game week, Jacob, you shouldn't transfer him out. I mentioned this briefly earlier. He's in your team now. He should be back for the next game week. If you take him out now to bring him back again, then you're wasting your transfers. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're saying, right, Martial now, in next week. If anything happens next week to your other players, you'll end up taking a -4. Aguero or keep De Bruyne? Keep De Bruyne. But I mean, they're two different prices. So you're saying Aguero or keep De Bruyne. There's no way that you've got like 3 million in the bank and you just go, okay, De Bruyne out, Aguero in. And if you can do that, then I maybe would go Aguero. But if you're saying go De Bruyne, Aguero, you've got to be doing some other transfers there. Captain line dilemma, Sterling or Aguero. Again, mentioned this a few times already. 48% of the game on Sterling. 44% of that are going to captain him. He's going to be a huge captain. Aguero, I think he'll do great. He'll be a really good differential if you captain him and he bangs. If he gets 2 goals and Sterling gets 1 goal and you captain Aguero, then you'll shoot up the rankings. But the problem with that is if Sterling does do better or equal, then the issue is going to be that 45% of the game that's captaining Sterling this week are going to jump over you. So if you want that differential captain, Aguero will be a fantastic option. It's a decent decision. But if everyone is doing Sterling and Sterling, who's in amazing form, bangs this weekend, you're going to be in big trouble. Thoughts on Pepe replacing Martial? Again, they're two different prices. So if you can afford, for some reason, to go from 7.7 to 9.5 without any other changes, then yeah, Pepe looks great. Just good luck for the game. Good. I still like that extra bit of luck that I need. I hope the wildcard. And again, if you've played your wildcard now or before and it doesn't pay off this game week, don't get too angry about it. I'm not doing this wildcard now and then sitting back thinking, whoa, I've got to get 100 points now. I've played my wildcard. No, this is so Barnes has got Liverpool. I know I'm not expecting a lot from the Liverpool game. I've got Barnes for the next 10 game fixtures. So if it pays off game week like 4 right now, then amazing, fantastic, wonderful. But you know, if it doesn't work out this week, that's fine. When do you think it's the right time to play triple captain? A lot of people say double game week. I played mine in game week 1. I did Salah at home to Norwich because I always wanted Salah at home to Norwich. Doesn't matter. People say double game weeks because they're going to have 2 games to do it, right? But my issue with that is, let's take Liverpool for example. They've got in December, right? They've got the Club World Championships because they won the Champions League. You've got FA Cup, Champions League, League Cup, Premier League. Same with City minus the Club World Cup. Now the problem that I and a lot of people had last year was I triple captained Sane in a double game week, thinking, well, here we go, double game week, fantastic, 2 games. He's been playing, he's in good form, and then Pep rotated him out. And the problem with that double game week as well is if they've got 1 match at home so Man City, for example, they've got 1 match at home to Norwich and the second match against Liverpool. They'll play that Liverpool game, which is tough to triple captain someone in, and then they'll drop them for the Norwich game, or vice versa. They'll rotate them out. So triple captain for me, if it can be easily done in a single game week. So my triple captain got me 1 goal and 1 assist. That's a pretty good return. So even if that's spread over 2 games, 1 goal in one game, 1 assist in another, and you combine them, that's still a pretty decent thing for your triple captain. So I would just play it in a fixture where you feel that confident that they're going to play, not get rotated out, more than a double game week. But now is a good time to do it because there's no Champions League rotation and things like that. So if this game week was at home to Norwich and it was Man City, and it's just before an international break when you're going to have a nice little rest, then the likes of Sterling could have been a good time to triple captain. Brighton may be a little bit more difficult. I'm not saying that triple captain is a great option right now, but you know that's the thought process. Thoughts on Lamela if Eriksen leaves? I mean, it's a good price. 6 million. Yeah, here he is, Lamela. 6 million, low ownership. He's got 1 goal. He's only got 1 goal, 1 assist. I don't know. I think there's. I said earlier I'm avoiding Spurs right now. Harry Kane triple captain, but again, my friend's decision to triple captain Harry Kane at home to Newcastle was not a bad decision. It just wasn't a good result. If I had to choose Mount or Barnes, who's the bigger risk? This game week I'd go Mount, but for the next 5 to 10 game weeks I'd go Barnes. Do you mean Barnes as in Ashley Barnes, the Burnley striker, or do you mean Barnes like, is it Harvey Barnes at Leicester? If it's the Leicester Barnes, I'd go Mount because Mount plays. King to Barnes or save the free transfer. Save the free transfer. I don't know. Barnes is in such good form, but he's got Liverpool and he's up against Van Dijk. I mean, Bournemouth doesn't have the best. I'd probably save it for this week. If you can afford the future transfer, then do it next week. Barnes could nick a goal against Liverpool. But would I risk the transfer now that I'm not 100% sure? So, play Martial or Greenwood then? Well, Martial's not going to play, he's injured. You sold Martial for Lanzini to get some funds upgrade to Kelly in the future. Someone do make a mistake. Naked Fish? No, I don't think so. If you've got Lanzini long term and then you can upgrade Kelly, what's the price difference? 1.2 million, so 4.1, 5.1. To a 5. If you could get to a 5.5 million improvement, then that'd be good. Got to enter after game week 4. Will he have bad fixtures? Let me check this. Leicester don't have good fixtures right now. So Bournemouth's fine. United away isn't the worst. Spurs at home right now isn't the worst. Newcastle, Liverpool. Excuse me. I think Leicester's fixtures are fine. They look pretty good at the back. Would I play him alpha? Probably not. I mean, I've got him, but he's going to be on my bench. Aubameyang and Pukki. What's the question, Philip? Heaton, Maguire. Oh, sorry. Heaton, yep. Maguire, no. VVD, yep. Emerson, love it. Mount, yep. James, KDB, Sterling, McGinn, yep. Aguero, Pukki. Will that pay off? Maguire, no. James, iffy. McGinn, long term, no. They could though. This is football, right? This is a beautiful thing about football. You don't know. You don't know for sure what will happen. I can't tell you James isn't going to do anything because he might. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Alpha. Yeah, I don't like doing like the self-promoting thing. If you do leave a like and subscribe if you're new, then that would be great. I do these streams on Fridays and I'll release a FPL video on Tuesday or Wednesday talking about the previous game week and looking forward at the future game week. So any likes and subscribes are always really appreciated. Swap King for Barnes. Thoughts? Burnley's Barnes. This game week, maybe not. From next game week, yes. Is it better to diversify assets or go big on one player? Diversify, Matt. What I did before is I'll sort of calculate the points. So I'm on the Fantasy Football Scout members area where it'll give you the points predictions for each players based on stats and bookies odds and things like that. And I will say, so if I have Aguero, but then that means I've got to have 2 midfielders that are 4.5 to 5 million, or I can have 3 7 million players. Those 3 7 million players over the course of the season will do better than 1 Aguero. So it's all about a balanced squad. when I made the Reddit post about should we just all play 4.5 million defenders? So if I take out Luka Dean and Trent and Emerson, and I just have let's just put any just 4.5 defenders in here. It doesn't really matter. A bunch of 4.5 million defenders, and I rotate them. I've got 5 million in the bank. I can, upgrade Lanzini to Mane. I could upgrade Barnes to Aubameyang, or I could probably just about squeeze in Aguero up front. Should we just go 4.5 at the back and have a beast of a midfield and strike force? But then you add it up that if I bring in Mane for Lanzini, is Mane going to score better than Emerson, Dean, and Trent Alexander-Arnold? No. So for me, it's just better to have a much more balanced squad than, one big player. Thoughts on Haller? I mentioned him earlier. Finn, I think, is a really good option for the next few game weeks. But don't take him scoring 2 goals against Watford too much, because Watford look awful. 9.5 million to spend on an attacker. Who should I buy? Probably Jamie Vardy. But, I mean, if you can go for a cheaper forward, I'd put that money in defence or midfield. You're playing your wild card, you can either get Kane because he always scores against Arsenal, or save money for midfield. Look, Kane is a good option. He had one bad week against Newcastle, but he is a decent option. He doesn't look as good without Eriksen. Again, I'm personally avoiding Spurs. So let's just swap that out. Let's say Aubameyang instead. So I would go Aubameyang in that situation. I'm avoiding Spurs. But again, just the thing I was saying about spreading the money around a little bit, it depends on who would you get in midfield. Like, if you get Kane or Aubameyang, who are you sacrificing? Finalise your new team. Heaton, BBD, Laporte. Kelly will lose his place soon, so just be warned about that. What about Aguero? Love him. Had a long chat about Sergio Aguero. Having KDB, Aguero and Sterling would be a wonderful world, Daniel. It really would. If we could all be here with KDB, Aguero and Sterling, what a fantastic life it would be. But there's no way you can do that and have Salah. I've tried it. That's why I said it would be a wonderful world if I can sit here with Sergio in my side and oh my God, minus 5 million. Not a chance. No chance at all. I'd have to lose De Bruyne. I can't even lose De Bruyne. I'd have to lose Salah for a 7.2 mid, and I'm not doing it. Or I'd have to do that thing where I say, okay, let's go teeny tiny at the back. 4, 8, 12. Yeah. So is that situation of let's go 4.5 at the back? Would that work? No, I'd still have to jiggle something about just to have that lovely attacking force. Greenwood, Aguero and Pukki. Then your bench is Cantwell, Lundstram. If that's your wild card, I'm just a little bit worried about depth. Cantwell, is he going to be in all season? I'm not too sure. Same for Lundstram. I don't think Lundstram is. Peters will. Peters should be the left back all season. But he could get dropped for one game week for Taylor at left back, and then boom, he's lost his place. Game week 5, you're changing Kane to Barnes. Do I change De Bruyne to Salah or Shouty to Pogba? I mean, I see Salah. I want Salah. I'm a simple guy. But to not have... Can you not have Kevin De Bruyne and Salah? I mean, that would be... What a wonderful world that would be. Dean in for a 5.5 million. Worth it? No. Oh, sorry. You mean bringing Luka Dean and a 5.5 million goes out? Then yes. Luka Dean... No, and 5.5 million in, then I wouldn't do that. Luka Dean is better than a 5.4 million midfielder. You've got Aguero, Sterling, Salah, Zinchenko. Should I get KDB instead of Zinchenko? Yes. If that's possible, yes. Why don't I have Zinchenko? Because this is my wildcard long term. He's not going to be the left back long term. And I love Emerson. I've said the Emerson boat. You got the Barnes train, the Pukki plane, Emerson boat. I was going to electric bicycle, but it doesn't sound as exciting, so it needed transportation. So there's nothing that rhymes with Emerson that you can travel on, so I don't know, jettison, but that's not very good. All right, guys, I am going to leave it there. It's just been over 2 hours, so I need to go and take a break, have a cup of tea. It's like 11 o'clock at night here. I'll have a little tinker with my wild card. If you can leave a like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. And thank you again for joining. This is the time when I can talk about FPL and talk about football. So I do love that. Try and do it on Fridays about between 1 p.m., 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. on a Friday afternoon in UK time. For me, it's at night. So and remember, on Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, I will be always talking on Twitter and always replying on Twitter and post some FPL posts and tweets and stuff on there. So that'd be great. Emerson Boeing 747. That's a plane though, and we've got Pookie, we can't have that. So yeah, follow me on Twitter, leave a like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. Hopefully we all have a good game week, lots of green arrows all round. The video for looking back at game week 4, looking forward after the international break, should be Tuesday or Wednesday. Might be a little bit later because we've got a nice big gap and where it's going to be pretty busy. But should be streaming maybe next Friday because obviously we have that international break, so we might be able to leave it. I'd like to look back and look forward as well. So thanks again for joining, guys. Hope you all have green arrows. Not as big as my green arrows. You know, at the end of the day, we're all trying to get good points, right? So thanks a lot, guys, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.